What's going on, everybody? Doc from Average Gamer Guy is back yet again into another Rocket League episode. And this is going to be a good one for you. So we're jumping back in. We're pretty much on par for our cycle for Market Watch series. So we've got another one coming to you today. So I'll do the quick plug as always. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to Average Gamer Guys. I am Doc. If you're new, like, comment, subscribe. That's what we're asking you guys to do. Really do appreciate it. If you've been here a while and you're a fan of these series, we got a lot of really positive comments on these, especially the Trading 101. Just consider this a continuation of that series. So hopefully there's some tips inside of here that's going to help you out. Again, just understand my standpoint here is to help you kind of slowly build your inventory and just find good ways in order to be able to do that, and with the intent not of making key profit, but of being able to get some keys or get some items that you are really hoping for. The best way, as always, to do that is to grab some keys and then buy your item. So with all that being said, that's what we're talking about today. We've got some really, I think, an interesting one that I think a lot of people are curious about, especially if you haven't been around a while or are not sure what impacts a double painted weekend has. So I'm going to jump into that first and foremost because that's the main portion. I'm going to give you, again, a couple of tips. This is just general trends from whenever we've seen a double painted weekend come into the game. So by no means any of the values I'm going to say, and again, this is Xbox specific. I think the general trends for these happen across the different platforms, but I do want to say that obviously the prices are going to be different, as well as whatever I say inside the video is just again, it's going to be a trend. It's going to be what I personally think that stuff is going to shift to. I can't read the market. I'm no guru or anything like that. I've just been around long enough in the trading scene to know that these are some of the things that occur, and hopefully it gives you guys some opportunities to, again, make a little bit of profit, turn some stuff into some keys pretty easily, and then, you know, moving forward from there, pick up some items. So let's talk about it. What are the two big things that are going to occur when we get a double painted weekend? One, we get a double painted weekend. So every crate that's opened, every trade up that you do from a crate, this does not include non-crate very rares. For those of you that don't know, non-crate very rares always trade up into a painted item. Same thing with non-crate imports. They always trade up into a painted item. So the chances of that are always 100%. They don't need to be doubled. But the 25% chance rate that you have of pulling something painted goes up to 50% when we go into a double painted weekend. So if you open a crate, you have a 50% chance now of picking up a painted item if it can be painted. And then if you're doing a crate trade up, so say you're taking a bunch of rares or very rares and trading them up to their next level, that percentage also increases. So with that understanding, two of the best ways that you're going to be able to turn some, I'll say, some items into some quick keys is going to be working and focusing on the crates. There are three main crates, in my opinion, that always see a jump up during a double painted weekend. Now, there are going to be more if you find the right buyer or you find somebody like me that opens a bunch of crates. Crate values typically just generally go up. Now, what happens is at the outset of the double painted weekend, over the course of that weekend, so this one's going to be March 7th to March 11th, the prices are actually going to steadily increase, really up to a peaking point. That peaking point is usually just about the day before. And then stuff will start to decline again because people still want to see some of the profit from it. They still want to be able to see some of the keys out of the items that they may have a stockpile of, and then the prices will typically decline. Now, again, that peak could change. It could come quicker rather than later, but for the most part, some of these items do have a finite quantity, and people will be buying them up quick at the beginning of the weekend. Specifically crates, because people try to pick them up as cheap as they can, but let's focus on the crates here. So crates, in my opinion, the three best chances you have of seeing some better trade ratios, crates to keys, is going to be PCCs, which we've highlighted here. You guys all know that. We've got a ton of them. The one thing I will caution with this is there are a lot of people like me out there that have a ton of them. Because they did the drop rate increase, because PCCs are coming out a ton more ever since they did the refresh, there are a lot of PCC crates out there. Currently, we've seen since the announcement of double painted, on Xbox these were trading 10 to a key. That was a very standard ratio. They're now floating anywhere between 8 and 9 to a key. I think as we get closer to double painted weekend and into the weekend, and some of the supplies dry up a little bit, I think what you're going to see is probably them go down. I would guess anywhere between 5 and 6 to a key. We're not going to go 1-to-1. We're definitely not going to go anywhere close to that, in my opinion. 5 to 6 to a key is probably really aggressive. But if you picked a bunch up when they were 10 to a key and you're sitting on a stockpile and you can turn, you're essentially flipping 1 key into 2 if you can trade them 5 to 1. Now again, I don't know if that's going to go there. I think that's probably pretty aggressive because, again, there's a huge stockpile of these out there. And so demand will really dictate, demand and supply will really dictate the price on that. There's a huge supply. There's probably going to be an uptick in demand because people do want to open these. It's a lot of fun. Double painted weekend. People always say that they don't think people are going to open a lot of crates. People open a ton of crates on a double painted weekend comparative to what they normally do. So people will be searching these out. So just keep that in mind. But PCCs, I definitely think are going to see a shift. You're going to see your nitro crates also, I think, see a shift just because there's some really quality items in here, and specifically Dracos. People want to find nitro crate Dracos. They do really well, really well. So I think we'll see these nitro crates tick up just a little bit. People will want to be cracking these. You also get the original Buzzkill, which I think is an important factor. And then there is, even to a certain extent, the original Mantis from the nitro crate that gets quite a bit of love. So keep that in mind, that as a consideration. I don't think these will tick up in price nearly as much as PCCs, but it's something to watch out for. The other crate that I think is going to have a lot of success, and typically does, is going to be CC4s. CC4s, again, really the only thing that people are looking for are the original crate Zombas. They want to be able to pick these up. They want to be able to get them in titanium white and striker, and their chances of being able to do it during a double painted weekend are that much better. So I do think these are going to tick up. Currently, these are sitting right at 1-to-1 with keys, at least on Xbox. It'll be interesting to see where these go. I think quantities, upper quantities, especially since this is a retired crate and is starting to get a little bit more rare, I can see these going a little bit higher. Bulk deals for these probably being pretty decent. So if you do have some, I would definitely say hang on to them for a couple weeks until we get to that double painted weekend. And then if you're not looking to open them, it's probably a good time to offload them and pick yourself up some keys. So again, crates are pretty consistent. I think we're going to see that. Again, I think all the ratios for the other crates, CC crates specifically, so that's our champions crates, because they are retired, I think they will tick up a little bit more as well. But again, you might find somebody that really wants Haunted Hollows crates, or you might find somebody that really wants Rocket League Beach Blast or Secret Santa crates. People will pay a little bit more during a double painted weekend typically for those crates. So that is one good option. If you've been grinding, you've been playing the game, you've been leveling up your Rocket Pass, you've been doing all those goodies, you are going to have some success moving some crates, I can tell you that. The next thing that is absolutely going to tick up, and this has just really been proven, is going to be our imports. So specifically our PCC imports. Right now, these are trading very close to 1-to-1, actually probably just a little bit above that. In small quantities, they go 1-to-1. We're starting to see a lot more 5 to 6, so five of these for 6 keys. As we get into the weekend, we're going to see these, I think, tick up quite well. These are going to, I would say, probably almost double in value, so 2 to a key, or some kind of bulk ratio in between there is probably going to be pretty good. The thing you got to consider with this is the fact that you're trading these up into either Zomba, Dracos, or Infiniums, and then you have a 50% chance for them to be painted. So, in my opinion, and this is just my recommendation, if you feel like playing the lottery, if you will, which is essentially what opening crates is, or trading up items, if you're feeling like trying to strike gold, get lucky, hit something awesome, I would not honestly recommend opening crates. I would recommend grabbing PCC imports and doing the trade ups from there. I think you'll have a much bigger success. Your ratio is going to be a whole lot better because you're turning it really into 3 really solid items if you get any of them painted. But then on top of that, again, you've got the 50% for the double painted, and you know you're going to get a quality wheel out of it. Unlike a crate, unless you open the PCC crate, but you still have to hit the chance for an exotic, and then you have to kind of go from there. So you play the odds, but I'm telling you, PCC trade-ups definitely go up a lot higher for, again, people like me that's going to do a bunch of them, but also for people that just want to, you know, try their luck at doing 20 PCC trade-ups. they get the opportunity, they go ahead, they do it, and they'll pay a little bit more in the keys for the potential chance. You could do 5 trade-ups for the potential chance that you get white Zambas, and then you really, obviously make a lot of profit. Now, one thing to also consider with this is not only what goes up in price, and I will tell you that other imports will probably go up in price a little bit. Your Nitro, your CC4 imports definitely will. The rest of them, it's hard to say. The general trend would say yes, but not many people are looking, for instance, for Triumph imports. Okay, they may be. Some people might be. They really want to get Hypnotics. You've got a 1 out of 2 chance, so maybe you might see these go up. But honestly, they don't trade for a whole lot right now. So if you're sitting on a stockpile of them, you may just want to try to get yourself some titanium white Hypnotics. That might have been a bad crate as an example. But again, the rest of them probably not going to do so much. But your Nitro, your CC4, your player's choice will probably value up. Again, especially as we get closer to the double painted weekend, and then definitely during the double painted weekend while it's going on, you're just going to see, I think, a lot of those things being traded. People with big stockpiles trying to move them, and they'll have success. They usually typically do. So that's a strategy for you guys. Now, here's one thing interesting to consider. During a double painted weekend, and usually typically about 2 or so weeks after that, the people that do all those trade ups and open those crates, you're going to get a flood of those items inside that crate. So let's talk about this a little bit. Again, people are going to open PCCs because they have the best chance for things inside of them. Not only do you have really good black markets, again, a couple that could come painted, mainframe, solar flare specifically, but you have these 3 wheels here. What I want to highlight is, if you happen to have an opportunity, or you do some crate openings or whatever the case may be, and let's say you open a pair of titanium white Zambas or a pair of titanium white Dracos, you are going to have a harder time selling these for their current value on whatever system you're on, because, to be honest with you, what typically happens is people do the trade ups, people open the crates. You're going to see people that may not have had this item before, or may not have had the item for a long time, do those kinds of things, and then they're going to have these items. Then the market, in turn, is going to have an increase in supply. Now, this usually levels out over the course of time, so if you're just patient with your item and you wait a couple of weeks, it will probably settle back close to its original price, but you will see a lot more quick sells, in my opinion, during this time, especially for things like white Dracos, white Zambas, titanium white Infiniums, and then the rest of the colors obviously as well. We'll probably see a little bit of a drop in price. You take your average forest green Dracos or black Dracos, you're probably going to be taking a key or 2 keys off of those, because there will be some more in the market. Now, what's interesting is if you decide not to do those trade-ups, or you decide not to open those crates, but you've been wanting a set of those items, specifically these 3 wheels, you get your opportunity there to probably pick up a pair a little bit cheaper than what normal market value would be, just again because the supply will be out there. People will want to move them quickly, and heck, somebody might open white Zambas and then want to turn them back into keys and crates and try to repeat that process. So just keep that in mind if you've really been looking out for something, especially in a Nitro, a CC4, or a Player's Choice crate that you've been really hoping for, and that really does include black markets as well, although the rate usually is not as good. I would tell you, just keep an eye out during the double painted weekend and for about a week, 2 weeks after that, because again, there will be an increased supply. Very typically, again, I'm speaking in generalities here, but very typically we'll see an increase in a lot of that stuff, and then people trying to get rid of them. So that's really my tips, my discussion for double painted weekend. What I would tell you to absolutely do is, if you do get an opportunity and you want to open some crates, or you want to do some trade ups, try to grab that one. Try to grab those crates now. Try to grab your keys now if you have the opportunity to be able to do that, because it is going to cost you much less now than it is, again, as soon as we get close. Usually the first, like the 2 days before the double painted weekend, you really start to see the prices ratcheted up, and then when it is on and it is in full effect and it's actually go mode, those prices will continue to increase, some of them very rapidly over the course of the weekend. So March 7th and 8th, you're going to see quite a bit of change, I will say, inside the market for those specific items, again, those imports and those crates. But if you get the opportunity and you want to test your luck, this is the best time, 100%. If you feel like trying to be lucky, you may not end up being lucky, I will tell you that, but your opportunity to be lucky is greatly increased. So have some fun with the double painted weekend. Don't spend all of your time trading. Try to enjoy it a little bit. I know I will. You guys know we will. We're going to be doing so many crate openings. We're going to be doing so much other stuff. I'm super, super excited for that weekend once it finally gets here. I do want to finish this video off, and we'll probably have some gameplay and stuff going on in the background because there was nothing else for me specifically to show. But what I do want to talk about is still some additional market trends that I'm personally kind of seeing and I think are interesting to talk about. One, and I think I might have mentioned this in a previous video, but we just had the update, and the update did bring with it an interesting glitch for Biomass, which essentially allows you, by equipping another decal, specifically a black market, you can change the accent color. If you then switch immediately into a Biomass, the Biomass keeps that accent color instead of reverting back to what should be the black that has always been Biomass. Biomass, if you don't know, only has one color selection option. You get your primary color. The secondary color you don't even get to pick. It is always black. That is not the case with this update. It's going to be very interesting to see. Psyonix said that they were going to go about fixing it. Community has the opportunity to actually change that to a certain extent if people, you know, comment enough and talk about it enough that they like keeping it. But for right now, I just want to tell everybody, be careful with Biomass. Be careful with people trying to sell it for super high. On Xbox specifically, it's usually like 3 keys, 3 to 4 keys, depending, you know, maybe if it has a certification. So I would just tell you, be careful with that. If you have one, cool. Don't try to gouge somebody if you have one, because there's a good chance that it's going to get changed. And especially for a newer trader that maybe doesn't know that or doesn't fully understand that it's a glitch and that it's planning to be patched. This is just as unfortunate as it is, people try to take advantage of that situation. What I would tell you is don't. If you have one, enjoy it. If you like it, it is kind of neat, although I've never been a big fan of Biomass. I'd rather just use Heatwave or Fire God myself, but that's just me. But it is kind of neat, and again, we'll probably see a patch for it here, maybe actually on the double painted weekend, because they might do a quick hot fix sometime around then to bring that. So that's just something to keep in mind. I just want to make everybody again aware that that issue is going on. The second thing that I really want to talk about is an increase in car bodies, crate car bodies that are painted black. Not too long ago, this occurred maybe a week and a half ago or so, Psyonix basically put out that they will no longer be dropping black painted import crate car bodies except for the Twinser because they look too close to the original. Now you can argue that point back and forth. What that essentially has done though is made those legacy items. So what we saw is typically, you know, we're talking the Sentio, the Imperator, the Endo, the Jaeger. I'm probably missing one inside of that. But what I will tell you is what we saw, those typically they all range on Xbox for probably a couple keys a piece, depending on, you know, the specific body. Endos and stuff being a little bit more popular than like your Imp. Your Mantis is included in that as well. Basically what we saw those go from is a couple of keys a piece, and they skyrocketed up to anywhere honestly in like the 20s, 20 something ish for each of those bodies, and each one's a little bit different. I'm not sure, it's hard to say if that trend is going to continue. They are legacy items. They cannot be obtained anymore from the crate. You cannot go open a crate today and get dropped a black painted car body. Except for the Twinser. That is the only one. They kept that because obviously the design on that is so significantly different because it paints the bars and everything else. With all that being said, it's interesting to see. They have jumped recently. I'm curious to see where they will settle out. There was a lot of hype for it because it wasn't going to change, and Psyonix had released it, and then, you know, people made up, I don't want to say people made it up, but there was definitely a shift in collectors trying to grab them, supply and demand kind of fighting, and then people posting them. So I would just say if you're interested in those or interested in completing kind of like the OG set of those, I would wait a little while, let the price even out. I do think they're going to be more expensive than they were, over the long term, but I don't think they're going to be 20 some odd keys a piece. I think they're probably going to settle maybe back around 10. They'll probably be a little bit more than the white versions of those cars. There is, again, a finite supply, but you got to think about it. There was a lot of those opened. A lot of them probably did not get traded up. So just keep that in mind. But I did want to talk about that as far as kind of trends. I have also seen an interesting trend. I think our Apex are starting to settle out a little bit. We definitely seem to have more coming out of the market, people just moving them. They do trade very regularly, so it'll just be interesting to watch with that. Octanes, I feel like we've talked about those and Apex every single time we've done this, but those as well have seemed to continue to kind of tick up a little bit. And again, that can be relatable to the increased price, not only for the white octane, but also for non-crate very rares. Those on Xbox have really settled out very, very well at 24 non-crate very rares to about 18 to 19 keys, 19 being a little bit more common than it has been typically. So again, items to watch, things to take a look at. I think we've finally seen the hype over Dueling Dragons and the fact that it's only in the Velocity crate. I think we've started to see that come down as well. So I've seen those prices dropping just a little bit. I do think Dueling Dragons, minus any painted of the goal explosions that we have, Dueling Dragons will remain probably one of the upper ones just because it was only in that single crate. I do think, again, you got to be careful with an item like that because it is so popular. Psyonix understands that. They see that. People are going to talk about it. If we ever get a PCC refresh, which nobody knows when that will occur, but I imagine it won't be for months and months. But we might see a PCC refresh at some point that reintroduces that goal explosion because it is so sought after and because people do enjoy it so much. So I would just be careful with something like that, but it seems like that price has steadily kind of dipped down below as well. And beyond that, I mean, we're still seeing the same issues with trading. Still struggle to really turn items into keys. But here's the interesting thing is, again, if you've got PCC imports, you've got PCC crates, Nitro, CC4 as well. You can honestly also, if you've got a bulk set of those, hang on to them for the double painted weekend and actually trade into some of your more valuable items. That will occur. People will be trying to pick them up. People will be putting out there some good offers. So I would just tell you, keep an eye on the market from this point until then. Kind of see the trends. If you have some of that stuff and you've been really looking forward to maybe trying to finish out to get to that white octane or finish out to get to that dissolver or whatever you're trying to finish out to get, and maybe you need a little bit of additional keys, double painted weekend, if you have some of that stuff, is a great opportunity to go and to pick those items up. So as always, I sincerely hope this has been helpful for you. Again, my advice is just advice. It's just what I've seen in the past. No telling what is actually going to happen when a double painted weekend comes around, but these are just very general trends I've seen and I have seen pretty consistently over the course of the time with this game and the couple of double painted weekends that we've run across. As always, the key with trading, don't be out there trying to make this crazy profit. Make a couple of keys, build your inventory a little bit, and then get yourself a setup or an item or a set or whatever it is, maybe a certification on some items that you're really going for. Make that your goal. Don't spend all your time trading. You actually got to hit the ball with your car at some point. Doesn't matter if it just sits here and looks really good, if you can't actually do that. And just keep that in the back of your mind. Hopefully you guys have some success with what I've talked about. Hopefully this is helpful for you, especially as we get close to the double painted weekend. And I know it's a little bit of a longer video with me just really rambling at you, but hopefully you picked up some good tips. If you have questions at all about trading or anything else that I can discuss with you guys, please drop them down in the comments below. I will be as helpful as I can to answer any questions. I get this question a lot. How do you have all these keys? How do you... Guys, you just got to trade. You got to just find your opportunities. You got to find your opportunities to make a little bit of, again, micro profit is what I like to call it. Find your opportunities to do that. Flip some items and just work on building your inventory. I cannot stress this enough. Play the game. Playing the game gets you crates and it gets you non-crate very rares. It might feel like it takes a while, but if you play, you use your weekly wins, we're going to have a double experience going on at the same time during that weekend. So jump into this, play this game. I guarantee you're going to be able to grind some stuff out, and you can build that inventory. We also have a lot of streams going on right now. We actually just finished DreamHack that had RLCS drops. Those are another good opportunity to nab some free items and turn some of that stuff into a couple quick keys. So keep in mind all those things that I've been saying. And again, like I said, if you've got questions down below or there's anything else that I can answer for you specific to trading, specific to thoughts or questions that you've got, please feel free to let me know. The last thing I will leave you with is just be very careful when you're getting into trades. Be very careful. Double check your items. If you don't know this, if you go into your inventory, you can go into a trade screen and you go ahead and you hit the left thumbstick on the item while you're in the trade screen, you will actually be able to go and see the color, the certification, the crate that item is from. Double check that, double check that, double check that. You've got to protect yourself. No matter how trustworthy or how good of a deal something sounds, protect yourself. Don't get distracted by the chat comments. Definitely don't get distracted by somebody sending you a message over Xbox which pulls you out of the game, which then gives them an opportunity to do an item switch on you. Just protect yourself. Double check. Don't rush into a trade. Be the second one to accept. And if you can't come to an agreement, get out of there. If it's taking too long or it doesn't feel right, get out of there. Find yourself another opportunity. And that will help protect yourself from, again, people out there. They're scummy. They're scammy. They're going to try to get over one on you, especially if you're talking about good quality items or trying to put a bundle package together. It's very easy for that to happen. People remove things, put things back in. So just be very mindful of that. Don't get scammed. And if you do, unfortunately, there's not a whole lot that Psionics can do for you. Just use it as a learning lesson and kind of grow from it. But I'm going to tell you this right now. Protect yourself. Check your items. Don't rush into a trade. If you're able to do that, I promise you, you will have a lot of success in keeping your items and not getting scammed, but also having successful trades. So with all that being said, no, it was a little bit longer video, but hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. I am Doc from Average Gamer Guys. Again, let me know down in the comments below if you've got anything that I can help answer for you. And I'm sure we'll see you for the Double Painted weekend. Enjoy it. Enjoy that weekend. And as always, thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Peace.